And the reason why I am bringing this to you was about 18 months, 2 years ago. I was heading up this way to visit a friend that lived about 4 miles in that direction, and it was dark, and I come past Moonmoth, and Moonmoth is the first original sighting, gift site is over in that direction, and I was just happened to glance, and it was momentarily, literally split second glance, but like a shaft of light, almost like a beam, like someone had a very, very powerful torch. I don't know whether they were shining it up or whether it was coming down. I don't know. It actually felt to me like it was coming out of the forest. Now, the original Moonmoth gifting site was on a pinnacle, the highest point. It was a point of high ground in the whole area. It's the highest point, although it's covered with trees. So, was that the case? Was there some kind of visitation there? Is that a means of communication? I don't know. I've no idea. But it was at night time, and it was momentarily, literally split second. It was like a shaft of light. It was there 1 second, gone the next. And you know when you question yourself and you think, did I just see that? Did I really just see that? And you look in thinking, do it again, do it again. And I stopped and I waited, and nothing happened. Nothing happened at all. So in my area here, I have a First World War military site. That was at the forefront of technology in its day. It was creating weaponry which was violent and dangerous. All war stuff is. That's about 20 miles from here. Then about 15 miles in the other direction, there is a site which is a Cold War military site. That was also shared with the United States at one time as well. And what went on there, I mean, I know about, it was missile testing. It wasn't a secret because they employed many of the local population. I was just a little girl when that was going on. It was Cold War stuff, which must have only been about 10 years ago, being that I'm barely 30. Stop laughing. It's not funny. I can hear you laughing. There's no need to fall off the sofa. Come on. Anyway, the other thing is that there is a nuclear power station very, very close to here. There are two very close to here. One is still active. Now, given that these things leak like sieves, and when we're told, oh, they're very, very safe, I used to see the nuclear fuels testing people, going out with their test tubes, testing all the waters around the area on a weekly basis. You wouldn't need to do that if it was perfectly safe. Oh no, you wouldn't need to do it. But on the other hand, as an energy for creating power for people's lighting and heating, maybe it's the best option at the moment. All of that being said, I do believe that Rendlesham, it has the same things as what I have in this area. Now, the area where this craft landed at Rendlesham was impossibly small. And then when they looked up into the trees, it was like, how on earth could it get through the trees? Sorry, I'm being bitten by all sorts of things flying about, little biddies, little flying things. They think I'm dinner. I am. Anyway, they looked up and think, how could a craft get through there? But it could. How could it maneuver through this forest? I have tried to fly a really small drone. It's probably 10 inches across through a forest like this. It's almost impossible because trees have updrafts and downdrafts. It's really difficult. So how did they get this craft into the forest? But it was seen. They got it in there. The trees where it landed were all scorched. The branches were scorched. The ground was scorched. So that is the British version of Roswell. Nobody was abducted to our knowledge. There was time loss. This is something they talk about, was time loss, huge time loss. Somebody managed to get from point A to point B, and the time that would have taken was just ridiculous. There's no way he could have made it. He had to have been transported in one way or another. But this is the kind of stuff that you can't provide evidence for. Everything else has got evidence. Now there's one guy who features in this. At the time he was the commander of the base, and his name was Colonel Ted Conrad. Now you've heard me in the last episode speak about what his witness statement. That man in 1983, he accompanied Lieutenant Colonel Holt. I guess he was like a section commander or a nighttime commander. He accompanied him to explore what was happening, to investigate. And this is on the second time the craft came. This was the second investigation. And he was there when all the Geiger meters were taken, the radiation measurements, and what they witnessed, the lights, and when Lieutenant Colonel Holt was talking into a dictaphone describing everything that they saw. And those are available online. You can get those recordings, download them, and listen to them. And the visuals, the camera visuals, the night vision visuals that go with it. This Colonel Ted Conrad, at the time in 1983, fully agreed, fully concurred with everything that Lieutenant Colonel Holt had said. He was there, he witnessed it. He says, those lads sure saw something, but I don't know what they saw. And he backed up everything that he said. So fast forward to 2010, and that very same Colonel Conrad completely backtracks. He walks it all back, more or less saying, oh no, that wasn't the case. This was not seen. This didn't happen. They never saw this. They didn't say that. So my question is he, who got at him in 2010? Was he up to being a politician, didn't want ridicule? What was going on? Why would he need to backtrack? So either he is lying in 2010 when he denied the whole story, or he was lying in 1983 when he concurred with everything that everybody else saw. So he was either a liar then or a liar recently. And that's my trouble with people that backtrack on stories. They are no longer a credible witness. And for somebody like him, who is the man who's a commanding officer, he has no position. He's got no position. His position is untenable. You're either lying then or you're lying now. Which is it going to be? It's an interesting scenario. I believe Colonel Holt, Lieutenant Colonel Holt, I believe him. Sergeant Peniston, I believe him. I believe all those that say they saw what they saw at Rendlesham. They had no reason to lie. That was a career-smashing path to take if you were going to lie. They stuck by their guns and spoke the truth. The alphabet in this country, who I refer to as mud, similar name. They're sort of, oh, well, we received the memo, but hey, we didn't think it was worth looking at. We thought it was a joke. We didn't believe it. What a load of rot. If that was the case, they would have gone straight to it and said, oh yeah, here it is. There you go. You can have a look at it. But no, they sat on it. They delayed these 3 elderly ladies. And it's these ladies, these are the people who the alphabets need to be very careful of. You never tell middle-aged ladies no. You never tell them nothing to see here, move along. No, 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 no. You are going to be handbagged. They all carry formidable handbags, purses, and you are going to be pursed. Big style. Don't tell middle old ladies, no, you don't have a right to know something, because they will wipe the floor with you. And that's exactly what they did. My conclusions. I'll let you see the remainder of the video. I'm going to say thank you for watching. Thank you for putting up with it. Check this subject out. It correlates with so many other subjects that are going about. They all have the same stories. They all have the same threads running through them. There's more to it. So thank you for watching, but I'll leave you with the last and the final video. Okay, I'll catch up with you afterwards. This is the last episode in this little short series, and connecting the dots, that's what I'm trying to do. I think there are many different dots, if you like, many different subjects, and somehow they're all loosely connected. I'm not sure whether you'll agree with me on this, but I've tried to explore it because they do overlap. The subjects of Sasquatch, the subjects of alien stuff, it seems to overlap. I don't know if I should call it alien stuff, I should call it off-planet. So it all comes off the back, this is where it started stirring things for me, of a news report. I'm not sure whether it's true. I assume it is. I had no reason to disbelieve it. Of a UAP landing in someone's backyard in Las Vegas. The police attended, and there's recordings of the calls. You've heard all of this. You've probably seen all the footage. And the officials agreed that something had landed. They are neither disputing nor denying the account occurred. So that is significant. And the police body cam footage, the way this police officer is talking to the people, there's no dispute. They saw the lights themselves. He said originally there was people with 7 to 8 foot tall beings that were hiding behind a forklift truck in their yard. Well, as the conversation got on, it became 8 to 9 feet, 10 feet tall. I don't know, that's what he said. So I'm going to go with the first one, 7 to 8 foot. And this was really interesting. The way there is video footage of it, you can see where these creatures are hiding, or peoples are hiding behind this forklift truck. I don't disbelieve it. I think the evidence speaks for itself. You'd have to have the police in on it and everybody in on it if it was going to be fake. But this was followed a few days earlier by Congress. On the 26th of July, Congress having a public meeting where 3 esteemed and respected former US military officials blew the whistle on the government's knowledge of UFOs. Well, everybody knows the government's been lying. They've been lying for years. Our government has been doing the same. All governments lie. That may be a prerequisite to being in government. You must have to be a good liar. Maybe I should speak for my own government on that one. So the 3 of these men testified before a House Oversight Subcommittee, and they incredibly revealing that the United States military has an active program in which it seeks to retrieve and reverse engineer UFO technology, or UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon technology. Now, go back to the 1980s, and this is something that Bob Lazar and Charles Hall both described for their work. Bob Lazar in particular, and his witness interview has spoken extensively. He's been interviewed many times. I think the most recent one would probably with Rogan on his podcast. It's a fascinating listen. It really is. And he goes into some detail about reverse engineering nuclear reactors. This is a man that built a jet-powered thrust engine onto his bike. So he came to the attention of, they offered him a job, basically. The Area 51 people, they offered him a job. And it was on various days, it wouldn't be regular stuff. Would he pop along and do a bit here and there? And it turned out he was replacing somebody who had been exploring a captured craft that the Americans had in the base and opened the doors, and basically had been opening the doors to a nuclear reactor and got fried. So his job was to reverse engineer it. Now, all you ever know about is what you're working on. But when he went into this place, there were several craft. They were disc-shaped. They weren't massively big. They were only a few meters across. The depth of them, the height of them, if you like, they weren't massively deep either. He thought they were incredibly small for what they were. They had one that was vertically positioned, and they were test firing all sorts of things to see how the metal reacted. And I don't know what kind of metal it was. I don't think it was known what type of metal was that it was made of. But Bob Lazar worked on this extensively, and he asked one day if he was allowed to have a look inside this spacecraft. I mean, the American Air Force has got these bases. I think Nellis is the base that they were working at. And it has been denied. Many people have said, oh, you've got craft. You've got spacecraft in there. And, oh, no, we haven't. No, we were just making flying saucers to hold on a stick and whiz at a circus. That's all you saw. It's not flying saucers. Nope. Oh, yes, it is. And Bob Lazar had said so. He was rubbished in the 1980s for saying so, rubbished in the 1990s for saying so. But what he saw was absolutely true. And he was allowed to have a look inside one. He said there, he asked if he could, and you're not supposed to do anything other than your job. And the way he looked in them apparently was to get onto the top of the disc, and there was like a hole or an opening there, and he sort of suspended himself upside down. There were no gadgetries, no buttons and switches and flicks and steering wheels and things, nothing like that. There were just shapes. There was a triangular shape and a square shape, but there was nothing on there. So whether they lit up when it was switched on or what, I don't know. But he said the seat, there was a chair type thing, what was clearly a seat. It was incredibly small. And so these alien beings were small. They weren't big. They were small peoples. Anyway, he describes all of that in his time in the numbered areas, shall we say, the numbered areas of the Nevada desert. There's another guy called Charles Hall, and he backs this up. And he was there from 64 to 67. He was a meteorologist. He's got all sorts of degrees, physics and all of that sort of stuff, nuclear physics, all the clever stuff. Double Dutch to us. He's got all those kind of qualifications. And he describes in one of the numbered air bases, there is a particular number, he does say what number it is, which is absolutely off limits to military personnel, humans of any kind, totally off limits. He describes it as being an area for off-planet craft and their families or their peoples. That is interesting, isn't it? Go back to Skinwalker Ranch. Now, it's staffed by the research people on there, the highest grade of scientists. Some of them have been, I think Travis was an ex-government scientist, but they are the highest grade. Their brainware, the stuff that goes on in their head, it's phenomenal stuff. And they have many, many incidents of high strangeness, all on film, all being explored, can't be denied. And many incidents of high radiation. And when the location was found by the Shermans, they had many cryptid sightings. And many of the events that occur there correlate with the Bradshaw farm as well. And we saw that in the episode I spoke of about Hoodoo Tall. They have very similar things going on. So Skinwalker has investigated a lot of this stuff, and they made the government look really foolish. The government used to own Skinwalker Ranch, and they couldn't find anything out. They couldn't get to the bottom of it, but they didn't do the same sort of experiments that they're doing here now with the technology they've got now. So there is an interview with an ex-military officer who was there during the government ownership of Skinwalker, and Travis, the guys that run it, and they're having a conversation. And this man, an intelligent retired army officer, he says, look, you just got to understand, we're not in charge. He says, this is the whole problem. We are not in charge. So now we have Congress saying this, coming out and saying, hey, there's something out there. You've got this very, very credible footage and interview with the people in Las Vegas. They all say at the same time, Skinwalker has been building up to what they're doing for 4 years, 5 years. So what is going on? Why now? Why is Congress having this public debate now? They're not doing that for the benefit of us. It's not because we believe the people need to know this. We've only lied for the past 40 years. Now we believe the people need to know this. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. I'm wondering if something is either bigger that's about to be exposed, or whether the powers that be, the real powers that be, the ones that they say who are in control, it doesn't appear to be planet Earth, are they pressurizing it? Has something occurred? Who knows? After all this time, generations of plausible deniability from the governments, we have this tacit admission from witnesses, from servicemen, and they're not going to be shaken on what they've seen. And Congress has given them airtime. I think it's a massive leap forward. So, when are they going to reveal the truth about the Genu people? Because they know. The evidence and the video footage, audio recordings, how many people in the States, and I'm just going to take States, I'm not going to include Canada because they have same experiences there. How many people there have video footage, evidence, audio recordings, and they don't release them because they might have a job of significance, or they might just think it's nobody else's business? How many people, along with all the people who are actually on YouTube, not everybody does YouTube. Not everybody films things. I mean, they don't feel that they should film things. They have a relationship with their Genu people out there. They're not going to take their camera. They're friends. They are friends with the Genu people. I mean, they don't sit and have a cup of tea and chatter with them, but they do have mind speak, they have healings, and they have like a tacit agreement with them that they agree to socialize, and boundaries are set out, and if the boundaries are pushed, they then reset them out. Let's take, for example, and this is repeated, I mean, this is an Australian story, but this is repeated all over America. It's happened. And people have been told to shut their trap. The Australian Army on manoeuvres in New South Wales were harassed for 4 days by the Yowie. The Yowie is the Australian version of the Sasquatch. It's a Janu peoples. And the US military, another story, they brought back a dead body of a giant, as they called him, from Kandahar, called the Kandahar Giants. There were many of the soldiers that were involved. There's a whole story about this. The platoon that had gone out, the leader on this platoon who'd gone out on a recce, never came back. All they found were the plastic bits of his radio. So they went out to chase him and see what was going on, find out why is he not back. And when they found the radio, something severely had gone on. And out of this cave hops this huge, absolutely huge man who they described as a giant. And it took them, I think they described, nearly 30 minutes in a firefight to shoot this person, this big, to bring him down. I'm guessing he was pretty violent. But all of that is denied. And where did that body go? It must have gone out to a ship, to one of the aircraft carriers, and then taken back to probably one of the numbered areas in Nevada, likely. So have we reached a tipping point? Do we need to keep pushing? Is the space that the off-planet energies and the peoples come from, this is what I'm trying to get to, is that an opening? Is there an opening, a tear, if you like, in a dimension? Is it another dimension? Is it a dimensional doorway? Is it like a lobby where all sorts of dimensions meet and that they can have access to planet Earth from? They can see us, but like a one-way mirror, we can't see them. Is that the case? Who knows? Are they there all the time? Are they always with us and we just can't see them? They're just in a different dimension. Not within our vision, but they are there. Is that the same thing that occurs with Janu peoples? What I'm trying to sort of say with this is the thing that might connect them. We think we've got Janu people over here, and then we've got this other alien spacecraft things over here, and people, they seem to meet. You've got one, you've got the other. And in some cases, there seems to be this coincidence of having military bases nearby, secret military bases, and nuclear power stations nearby. Is that just an accident? Or is that really, is that happenstance? Is that really what the reason is, why they're all connected? But the umbrella above them all, is dimensional? Is it dimensional? Do you call it dimensions, or is it dimensional? Do they share another dimension, which happens to be the same dimension? Like I say, they can see all of us. We haven't got the capability to see them. For all we know, are people from another planet wandering around all the time. We don't have a clue. They can see us. How do we know we haven't bumped into them? They see what we're doing all the time. Do they come through the same doorways? Do they use the same type of energy? Have they got the same type of thought processes where they can read our thoughts? They can read our energy? I don't know. And these are the questions that I'm asking. So I wanted to bring that to you. I thought it was quite an interesting series, and I'm sure, it's the British version of Roswell. They call it the British Roswell. But it was witnessed by both British forces and American forces, the local people of the village of Rendlesham. I think the village of Rendlesham just happens to be there. I think the centre of focus, the focus of attention, was what was going on Orford Ness. I think that was the focus of attention. Are there power sources from the nuclear power stations? I have no idea. I would also like to say, invariably, the Janu people are near nuclear power stations. Do they need radiation? Do they get something from radiation? Is it like an energy boost? I don't know. But now you've got that information in you. When you're hearing stories being told, you know, how they retell this, that, and the other on other channels, bear that in mind and look them up and just see, are there nuclear power stations? Are there secret military bases nearby? When I say secret, if it's of today's secrecy, we're not going to know. But if it's a story that happened 20, 30 years ago, those secret military bases, the information they have on them will be old hat. We'll have more information in our cell phones now. So that information will be out there. In 30 years' time, it may be that people will look back on events that have happened today and say, but there was a secret plant, secret military plants, secret military establishment. But by 30 years' time, that sort of secret military hardware will be completely dysfunctional, useless. They'll have moved on. What do you think? Let me know what you think. Be careful what you're saying in the comments. If you're referring to any alphabets, just call them alphabet. It's just that this platform, look how careful I'm being, this platform that I'm broadcasting on, this platform has an algorithm and they do pick up things, and I'm almost certain that government will have fingers in these platforms to see what is being said, and obviously for national security. I understand that, totally did. So just be careful. We don't want to upset Big Ears and Snoopy. With that, have a fabulous time, have a fabulous day, have a fabulous week, and I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have any experiences that you don't want to put in the comments but you'd like to email me, my email address is in the About section. Please feel free to it, because I love your emails. Thank you very much. All the best, everybody, and we'll catch up soon. Bye. How was that then? Did you enjoy that? Was it interesting? Do you think we're being lied to? And why now? Why would Congress have a discussion now? Who is holding a gun to their head? Why are they now suddenly saying, oh yes, this all exists, when they have spent decades denying it? So what happens next with Sasquatch? Because I suspect there is far more footage, photographed footage out there that people are not going to put in the public domain. And the government, they certainly have bodies and the like. The military, they've seen everything, heard everything regarding this. They're sent out to chase these guys. So there's more to all of this. When are they going to come out and admit this? Is this just going to be a matter of time as well? Because there's so much evidence out there. You all have it. Those of you that have Sasquatch on your property, you have the evidence. And you may think, oh, you're just one of 1,000 people. I'm guessing you're one of about 20 or 30,000 people. Thank you for watching. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Have great fun. Now, I did mention that I was doing a little experiment. And hopefully in the next video, we'll see if there's anything on there. If not, nothing ventured, nothing gained. But I will explain what I was doing. Okay, thank you, and bye.